in our rearview mirror. It's time to look back at the draft and see how teams fared with their picks. It's something that we are calling Spring Fling. Every day this week, we're going to break down
we got
a division and make a pick for our favorite selection from one of the teams in that division. Today, we will kick things off with, you want to talk Daniel Jones and company? Sure, let's do it. The NFC East. Nate, let's start with you and the Eagles.
Yeah, let's look at the list of players they picked up because their team needs right out the gate. They were a wide receiver, of course, cornerback, offensive line, linebacker, defensive line. And I want to show you guys the notable picks and then break down one of those individuals. And we've talked about them a ton here on the show. Of course, me being a wide receiver, I want to talk about a wide receiver.
Yeah, okay. They take.
It's Devontae Smith. Devontae Smith, for me, was the best wide receiver. I'm talking about purest wide receiver. That isn't a knock to Waddle or Chase. I just like his fluidity and his routes, getting in and out of his breaks. But check it out. They go offensive line, defensive tackle, cornerback, and of course they add a running back that can complement who they already have there on the roster. And that's everything that they needed. I always say, have a void and then you fill a void. But Devontae Smith, he's going to be right away your number one wide receiver. You have him on a rookie deal, which means you can build around him with free agents in the future or draft picks in the future. But he can do it all. And I just love the fact that, you know, when he was talking after the draft, he said, listen, I am who I am. I'm a $160. I'm a really good route runner. And last year, I was the best player in all of college football. And the Eagles fans were excited. All the Eagles fans that I know in Jersey, immediately when they got the pick, they hit me up and I said, you guys got the right guy. And even so much so, the receivers that landed after him, those fan bases were saying, we wish we had Devontae Smith.
Nate, even for you, you are all in on this guy. I mean, you are way in.
I love him because there's not too many pure route runners in the business nowadays, and he's coming in as one of the best route runners I've seen in quite some time. Because sometimes you'll get a fast guy or a strong guy or a big guy, but he can't run routes. The one thing you have to do, the very first thing you have to do well is run routes as a wide receiver, and he was the best route runner in the game.
The machinations on this were so interesting because the Giants are sitting there at 11 and Surtain's gone, Horn's gone, Waddle's gone, and every Giants fan is thinking, all right, we're going to get Devontae Smith, and then diddling, trade. The Eagles jumped the Giants and trade with who? Dallas. The Cowboys. It was so bizarre in this NFC East chess match.
In a row,
And they go and they get him, and then the Giants are like, whoa, what do we do? I don't know if they panicked or if this was all the plan, they trade back. So he could have very easily been a New York Giant. One pick later, he goes to the arch-rival Eagles.
Giants fans wanted him, too.
Oh, yes, they did.
For sure.
Let's talk about those Cowboys over at NFL.com. According to them, the Cowboys needed a cornerback. They needed help with the offensive line, safety, defensive line, and linebacker. Those are the glaring needs. So taking a look at the notable picks made in the 2021 NFL Draft, the Cowboys seem to be all about defense, the willpower of Jerry Jones. It's pretty incredible, Kyle. Of all the players drafted to Dallas, who was your fave?
It's breathtaking. It's six-way tie for first. Guys, you know that's never happened in Cowboys history? First 6 picks, all defense. It's never happened. They drafted 8 defensive players overall, 6 in a row. I'm surprised. I'm so proud of them. I can't believe that happened.
Isn't that what Jerry Jones said he wanted?
Yeah, but he says a lot of stuff. Was it a blow dart or handcuffs? What did they do to anesthetize Mr. Jones to not get him to grab a receiver? You know, even after 3 or after 4, and I have this vision. The schedule is going to come out next week, and I'm just going to call my shot. I think week 1, it's going to be Cowboys-Washington. It's just a gut feeling that I have. And I have this dream that when Washington runs the ball, someone on Dallas is going to tackle them. It might be after a 20-yard gain, but they will be tackled eventually, which is huge progress from last year. Micah Parsons, he's a beast. And I mean that. We throw around words like that all the time. This is a guy who can tackle. I don't care what his ball skills are or his wingspan. If the running back's coming at him, he's going to put his shoulders down, drop his hips, and wrap him up. And gosh, that is a light years of improvement. Look at that. Mr. Goodell showing the lumbar strength. All right, Michigan Wolverines, get the hell out of the way. There's someone wearing number 11. Now listen, is he going to wear 11 for the Dallas Cowboys? That would be kind of cool. I think that would be Bledsoe's old number, and there's been some 11s around. He can, and he can tackle, and I'm shocked that they did 6 in a row. I figured Jerry would be like, have 2, have 3, but then we're going to get wideouts and tight ends and kick returners and all that nonsense. No, 6 straight for the first time in Cowboys history. Love Parsons, but just more love the Cowboys for doing this. prudent and mature. I don't know how many Micah Parsons jerseys or mouse pads are going to be sold. I don't care.
Mouse pads.
How many tackles is he going to make? That actually matters.
Quite the trio.
Cowboys.
Quite the trio of linebackers there.
Great.
Van Der Esch, Smith.
yes, man, yeah, and Micah. We'll see. Those other guys, I don't even know if they're good. They weren't good last year, and they've been hurt a lot. I think this one is.
I like the NFC East. Let's go with the Giants now. NFL.com told us that they needed an edge rusher. They needed offensive line help, a wide receiver, running back, and defensive tackle. Long list of needs here. Terrible defense last year. Taking a look at their notable picks, they covered a lot of that ground. All players drafted by the Giants. Who was your favorite selection?
Yeah, the trade back was huge, and I think it ends up working out for both teams. The Eagles get their guy, but the Giants end up getting not only Kadarius Toney, who they really like, but also a first-round pick for next year. My player or person or individual that I want to focus on is Dave Gettleman, the GM. Guys, Dave Gettleman had never traded back in an NFL draft. He had been a GM for 8 years over the course of his career. Obviously, all that time in Carolina, not just in the first round, any round.
Play that bite of him before the draft, though. He hates trading back. You know?
Daniel Jeremiah said that NASCAR is going to have a right turns before Dave Gettleman trades back. He comes right out, and they trade back right away in the first round, and then Gettleman again trades back later. Look what they get for this pick. Now, this is going to be Justin Fields. If Justin Fields goes on to be Dak Prescott or Patrick Mahomes, then of course we can analyze this a lot of ways. But for what the Giants needed, they get a 20th overall pick, they get a wide receiver, but they also get next year's first-round pick from the Chicago Bears. So the Giants right now, if you're a fan of the New York Giants, you love the Packers, you love the Vikings, you love the Lions, and you do not love Justin Fields, and you're hoping to see a lot of Andy Dalton just because you want to see Justin Fields mature and get ready and not be on the field just yet. Giants fans are already against the Bears because next year they'll have their own first-round pick and they'll have the Bears' first-round pick. Dave Gettleman, I know that he gets parodied a bunch here in this market, and people are saying Gettleman doesn't know what he's doing. Looked like he knew what he was doing this weekend. And if the Giants have two or at least one top 10 pick and it's not their own next year, I think we'll be saying that was a pretty good trade for them.
They're loaded. It's all Daniel Jones all the time over there in Giants land. Let's talk about the Washington football team. We do have Ron Rivera on our show today. Very excited about that. Let's take a look at what they did in this draft. I was like, get a quarterback. I wanted you to get a quarterback. Instead, they took linebacker Jamin Davis out of Kentucky. That was round 1. Samuel Cosmi, round 2. He also made an exciting pick of North Carolina receiver De'Ami Brown in round 3. But if we could talk about their first-round selection as a group here, I want to know, Shregs, what you thought of their draft. I really did want them to take a quarterback, but you know, Jamin Davis out of Kentucky, athletic, 4.4 speed. And if I'm going to trust anybody about linebacking, it's a guy who was a linebacker for a beautiful team named the Chicago Bears, who was a linebacking coach long before he was a head coach in the league in Ron Rivera. So a really stout defense got better, which is really cool.
Yeah, and this kid is an awesome individual. Everyone who interviewed him said he is a top first-round pick just based on the person alone. He was a leader at Kentucky. But remember, Ron Rivera was in Carolina. They took Luke Kuechly in the first round. That worked out. They took Shaq Thompson, took him. I mean, Ron Rivera gets himself another defensive stalwart, and this is a guy that they're saying could be the best linebacker in this draft, even with Parsons involved on the table.
I will say that he was their highest-ranked defensive player in the entire draft for this team. Ron Rivera said that. We'll ask him about it. So a future star, potentially, in Jamin Davis. Yes, Coach Rivera will be on our program. Do not miss that. And that's Spring Fling, NFC East.
Here we go.
Edition.